Welcome back to ABC-7 Extra. I also want to welcome back Dr. Ogachika Alozi, who is with the Governor's Task Force on Infectious Disease Preparedness. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to us and being out here, which isn't too cold for you, but for some reason I'm cold, I'm telling you.
Beautiful day.
No, so let's talk about refrigerators versus dry ice to store the vaccine.
So I think it's important to understand that the ideal storage requirement is a deep cold refrigerator.
For the Pfizer vaccine.
For the Pfizer vaccine, specifically the Pfizer vaccine. The Moderna vaccine does not require that, right? That will come in the later date. And actually, from an FDA standpoint, we hopefully will get information about Moderna a week after Pfizer, right? But first tranche that's coming to our city is going to require that ultra cold storage. However, the box it comes in allows it to be kept for 10 to 14 days. Even if you open it and keep it in a refrigerator, it can be kept for another 5 days. There's a conversation about using dry ice to transport it. And so all of the healthcare systems are already putting in these logistical preparations, right? Whether it's storage freezers, getting dry ice, whatever the case is. And my expectation is that they will start getting needles and arms by next week.
Okay, so the vaccine will come in vials. How many doses to a vial?
Yeah, it's a multi-dose vial. It's approximately 5 injections per vial. And so again, the logistics, and this is just me sort of spitballing, the logistics of it is that you want to schedule it so you have 5 confirmed people at a time, right? And so you don't waste it. We don't want to waste this vaccine. It's a very useful and highly valued commodity, right? And so 5 vaccines per vial.
What happens if the vaccine or the dose warms up or is not at that temperature, the optimum temperature it ought to be?
Just like anything else that loses potency because it's not at the right temperature, think of milk that you put on the counter and just leave it till it's warm. You don't want to use it, and so that'll be a waste. And so that's where I really feel, I feel confident in our healthcare system. I know the people in our hospitals, the pharmacists that are putting this to work, the operators that are really going to make all of these things come together, have no concerns that this is going to be a problematic endeavor for them.
Sadly, even on a shoot like this, Murphy's Law can take over. You never know. What happens if the efficacy of that dose decreases, and how will you find out whether or not it did decrease?
I mean, the reality is that we're not going to know, right? But again, this is a 2-dose vaccination process. I think it's important for all the systems, and not just the systems, the healthcare systems, but remember, this is going to eventually be rolled out to clinics and urgent cares and all the healthcare providers that are going to want to give their patients and the people that are their clients in their clinics this vaccine. Important for them to start to understand how they're going to do it now as well, right? So this is a trial run, but it's a trial run that we can't afford to fail at.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Are we doing trial runs right now? Are you all practicing? Because Angela Mora says that we can vaccinate at least 10 people, you know, and I think a person per every 10 minutes is a way that I think she phrased it. Yeah. Are we practicing right now?
Yeah, so I think it's important also to understand that all the hospital systems and all the clinics that are involved in vaccination have done this before. Right? Remember, we give flu shots every year. Now, this is going to be a much larger endeavor than the flu shot, but they have that muscle memory of flu shots. All the systems that I'm aware of, all the physicians that I've talked to are already talking about how they're doing drills, right? And they're trying to prepare for it. They're doing operations meetings. And so again, I think this is something that we'll get through. And what we really need is the community to understand that this is just phase 1. When we get to the community is going to have to buy into this. And whether it requires the mayor or the judge or yourself or other healthcare providers in the community, getting that shot in the arm to prove to our community that we're here for them and they need to be here for us. I think that's critically important.
I think we need to take this shot side by side. What do you think?
Let's do it, man. Cameras. I'm ready. I'm ready.
So let's talk about the fact that right now this is being used in Britain. Is the federal government waiting to see how it's working over there, or are we going to see how it's working here first before we proceed with more vaccines?
Yeah, so I mean, it's great news, and it's a kudos to the scientists and teams that got to that point that Britain can go first. I think the FDA has been diligent, and they've done the right thing around the timing and the speed to which they got this approved, right? We're in a world right now where, as you know, there's a lot of contention that's driven by a lot of political ideology. I truly believe that healthcare is not a political issue, right? Everybody deserves healthcare. Everybody deserves to be protected from this pandemic. And so the vaccine shouldn't be controversial. And so the FDA is going to meet on the 10th. The expectation, looking at the preliminary data, is that hopefully the FDA will give approval. And once they give approval, there are distribution centers across the country that already have vaccine. And they'll start to move it out to the hospitals to start vaccinations hopefully next week.
All right, doctor, we're going to take another break. Across the pond, Britain is the first country to take this vaccine or to start the vaccinations. How long do we have to wait and see before we know just how effective it's been over there so we can have that as a point of reference to see how it's effective here? We'll be right back.